When you drink for a living, you come to appreciate a finer spirit. And when you drink with friends, you only open the best. Thank you so much for coming here today for this tasting.
Thanks for inviting us.
Look forward to it.
The Reserva de la Familia line, I really love about it because it really does bring so much flavor to the table. We're gonna just celebrate being here together, during this hectic time, just be able to sit all of us together and be able to enjoy and appreciate some fine spirits. It makes it an incredible day.
Cause for celebration for sure.
Exactly.
Tony Sachs and Kurt Maitland. You two are some of my favorite writers. You get to do a job that many would envy. Tony, you get to review spirits and write for the Rob Report, the Whiskey Advocate. So tell me some of the things that you are doing right now.
Starting around Labor Day, you just start getting tons and tons of amazing spirits of all sorts.
Kurt, I know that you're a writer of 2 cocktail books, about to write on a 3rd. You also have the Whiskey Club.
Yep. I have some of the same, issues Tony has, because I have bottles to review and notes to write and people to interview, and you're coming up to year's end. You're on that last marathon, that last stretch. This break is great. I've been looking to learn more about tequila because it just makes my cocktail skills better.
If you love whiskey, you obviously love flavor and you appreciate aged spirits. So that's a lot of what we're gonna be tasting today. I think we're gonna bring you on to the other side.
For me.
So as you guys know, I'm a mixologist by trade as well as a spirits expert. And so this is my crazy time of year. I'm creating all sorts of holiday cocktails for people to celebrate with. I'm such a tequila person. And this is one of my favorite products because it's one you can just drink neat. The story of the Cuervo family is that this is what they would love to do together. They would go down into the family cellars, you've been there, and they would break out some of their favorite tequilas and they would drink it together just to celebrate being a family. So there are 3 marks that we're gonna be tasting today: the Platino, the Reposado, which I have never tasted before. It's new into the market to celebrate their 25th anniversary, and also the extra Añejo. So I thought we'd start off with the Platino.
All right, let's do it.
Now, most Blanco tequilas, I don't generally like to sip neat, so I'm excited because this is definitely one we could do that. I thought it'd be kind of fun that we can give it a nose. I like to look at mine, kind of give it an evaluation to kind of see what the clarity shines in the glass.
Right through. Yep.
Cuervo is in the lowlands, and within the lowlands, there's volcanic soil. And the volcanic soil really does give some earthiness and some pepper notes and some clove and some aniseed, and you really do get this on the nose. And they use a very special process they've been doing that is unique to them. Not only do they wait till it gets to peak of ripeness, so it gets all the rich agave notes, but also they take away all of the parts that would add any bitter notes to it and only take the sweetest part of the agave. So you can really smell that. So Kurt, when you're smelling like a whiskey, what are you looking for?
With whiskey, you're looking for a balance. And what'll happen with some whiskeys, it'll either be over oaked, it'll be too much corn, it's too sweet. So you want something that it's an appealing smell. The proof perhaps isn't too high, and something you think that will go down easy. And again, you're drinking it neat. Now with this, when I smell it, it has, it smells great, kind of peppery.
It does a little bit of vanilla.
Yeah.
As well. And I'm sure with all spirits, the raw material really means a lot because if it doesn't start in the right place, it's probably not gonna get better as it goes along. So really the fact that they take the care from the very beginning, especially with a Blanco.
Exactly, there's nowhere to hide. You can't, mask any impurities with wood. It's all about the quality of the agave and the quality of the distillation. If this tastes as good as it smells.
Wow. It is delicious. As a mixologist, I really look for a tequila that has tons of flavor because I want it to shine through the cocktail. But most of them I only want to mix in a cocktail. The fact that I would drink it like this all the time, or maybe like a squeeze of lime.
My experience with tequila has been more picking them to be used in cocktails to, when I'm doing work on the book. But this is definitely a tequila I could drink as is.
For you, what's your process when you go through and tasting spirits to evaluate?
I like to give it 3 sips. And the first one is kind of like, hello, palate. I'd like to introduce you to the spirit. The second one is like, how do you do? And the third one is like, you really get to figure out what you're tasting. there's a thing that that bourbon people like to call the Kentucky chew. Sort of roll it around on your tongue, in your mouth. But then you get those agave notes. You get some dark chocolate in there. I mean, it's really quite complex, and it evolves on the tongue.
So Tony has his own process. You must have yours.
I do. Well, what I end up doing, it's more because I don't trust myself. It'll take several days. I'd like to be as precise as possible. It's like an interesting balance. You don't want to be too wordy. You want to be as descriptive as possible because someone's going to buy it. So for me to be sure, I'll do it a couple times, make the notes, compare them all.
I have a lot of friends who aren't in this industry. This would be something they're like, wow, this is soft, this is easy to drink, and they, would actually drink this neat at home.
I used to think, well, Blanco is what you mix, and, like Añejo is what you sip. But when you're sipping this, you are being transported to Mexico, to the agave fields. You're really tasting everything. And when it's a well-made tequila, there's nothing like it. I think the first article I ever wrote about tequila was called Sip, Don't Slam. And I hold by that adage today. Just take your time. My God, these people took a lot of time making this product. Really savor it, taste it, enjoy it.
And the fact is, this started 8 years ago, 8 to 10 years ago, for them to actually grow the plant, harvest the plant, before it's going in to be roasted, to put into fermentation, to then distillation. Every step of the way, that distiller had to make a choice. And this you can actually tell. They took their time in every step of the way to get the full flavor of the tequila itself, of the agave plant, which is something not every brand does very well.
Something I try to communicate when I do a review is, okay, are you getting value for money? It's like, yeah, it's expensive, but is it worth that money? Or I like drinking it, would I pay this price?
No, and I think that's really fair. And I think that's something that's really important because not everybody has the same budgets. So it's like, how much money do you have? And is it worth this amount? And what's the best you can get for a certain value? And this is what we do for a living. So you would think people would trust what we have to say, knowing that we'll be fair.
Right.
When I got into this industry, fresh juice wasn't a thing. And margaritas came out of a gun.
Right.
To have that change and to help other bartenders understand that fresh juice was essential and easy to do. Because when you have something like this, you don't want to be covering it up. I think it was Gaz Regan that said, your drink is only as good as the quality of the cheapest thing you put into it. So that's what I like about this, is that the fact that we can drink it on its own, but also appreciate it, I'm sure, in a delicious cocktail. Yeah. So I thought it would be time for us to try the Reposado.
Ready.
All right.
Sound good? All right, I'm gonna go get the next bottle.
Thank you very much for your generosity.
You're very welcome. This is something that is quite special, and this is something that is brand new. Reposado is something that I love to drink, and as a whiskey drinker, I think you are going to really appreciate because it has aging. It's not just aged in one barrel, it's aged in 3 different types of barrels, which, as you know, brings a lot of nuances. Yeah, I mean, when you smell it, you can kind of...
It's got just this nice buttery aroma to it, and it's got a little bit of the wood on there.
There's the vanilla, there's a little bit of that caramel, but the spices, from the Platino are not lost. And they use 3 different types of oak. So they're using a heavily charred American oak, which is gonna bring clove, it's gonna bring a little vanilla, it's gonna bring a little bit of coconut, and then they're using lightly charred French oak and American oak. So each one of them is gonna bring their own nuance to the barrel. And obviously they have to expertly mingle them together to get this actual flavor profile. You can even see in the color, it's like beyond just like pale, a lot of Reposados are pale yellow. This is more like an amber, which I'm really loving. Have you given it a taste
gorgeous.
Yet? Definitely.
I have.
I jumped the gun.
We didn't want to wait.
You didn't want to wait? Wow.
I mean, it's very tasty.
I get a little toffee. I think that's from the the French oak.
And just that nice, delicate spice on the finish coming from the wood.
I find Reposados can kind of work as a whiskey. Like I can do a substitute, what we call a like for like. So if I see a whiskey cocktail, say like a penicillin or an old fashioned, I can definitely use this. Is there any cocktails in your book?
It's funny, in the book we did that. We did say that there are certain ones. So you might say, hey, for a Manhattan, there are certain tequilas you could use to make a Manhattan and it would work.
This would actually make a really good tequila old fashioned.
This is a tequila I want to sit down, with you guys, right? I would bring my friends and say, I just accomplished this amazing thing. And for me, it's like I just finished like writing 15 chapters of like an education program. Do you have something this year you're like, I'm pretty proud of that?
Yeah, just getting through this year was one thing. I launched a website, so I was pretty proud of that.
What are you putting on there every month?
A lot of times it's just articles that I've got published elsewhere, and then I try to put some original content, like if I'm drinking some ridiculous rare spirit that I, traded to get.
So you're just bragging on there.
Yeah, basically, it's like
I'm drinking this and you'll never have an opportunity to do that.
It's part of the job.
I actually call it booze reviews you probably can't use.
And Kurt, for yourself, what are the things you're celebrating this year?
I just finished what would be the second book. So I'm celebrating that. That's the thing that comes immediately to mind.
How long does it take you from start to finish?
Like gathering the stuff is easy. We'll send a Q&A to a bar who's decided to work with me. And I'll just ask them generally the same questions and then ask them to share some cocktails. A lot of it was kind of getting their stories. Every place you go to, whether it's a bar in Mexico or a bar in Argentina or a bar in London, their take is different. Even if you're asking them the same questions, they all have their different answers.
Different countries obviously have different takes on spirits. Like tequila is something like, obviously Mexico, America definitely took off.
There was a tipping point in the States as well, where tequila went from this stuff that you drank in college, and then all of a sudden it became like this elevated sipping spirit.
People have in their head like certain slots for certain spirits, breaking them out of that box and saying, no, it's actually like it's a quality spirit on its own. But that's the struggle, and that's always been the struggle for all spirits.
Consumers are going to cocktail bars for the first time ever, where they're getting used to ordering cocktails. They're expecting it. They're not just ordering the standards vodka sodas. They're like, right. I'm going to try something new because I trust where I am.
Right.
It's happening all over the country. It's not just happening in like New York and LA. There are really good bartenders and people with open minds who just want to try new stuff, which is fantastic.
This is a product that you be shipping in a champagne glass, which I think most people wouldn't think, oh, I can drink tequila like I would champagne. And you think of champagne, you think of sophistication. So I think it automatically kind of ties the two things together. I would definitely bring this as a gift during the season, saying, so we can sit down, drink it together, because I think people would feel special that we're celebrating.
I'm bringing it to my house.
Yes.
I don't know how social I'll become New Year's, but I'll definitely get some from me.
Oh, for sure.
Here's to that.
Definitely.
Yep. Here's to that.
I'm
gonna need a refill
celebrating
soon.
with friends.
Cheers. Yep. Cheers, guys.
So I'm gonna go and get something extremely special. The last, the Reserva de la Familia line, which is the extra Añejo.
Kurt,
Sound
you
good?
finished just in time.
I finished just in time. Again, I'm ready to go.
I'll be back. So this is the Jose Cuervo Reserva de la Familia Extra Añejo.
Thank you.
Tony, you and I have something to share in common, the fact that we were actually brought down to their cellar.
It was quite an experience.
And able to taste their private stock. Sorry, Kurt, to be jealous of.
I'll make it down there at some point. It'll happen.
The cellar was pretty amazing. I remember seeing all these demijohns, which are glass bottles known for holding cognac, and they were holding unaged tequila, or tequila that had never touched wood, that was like 100 years old. And I was thinking, oh my God, I would like to get my hands on some of that.
You see how Cuervo is made, and then you are led down this beautiful cellar, right down these stone stairs, and there's like a key that like opens a door, and you're like let in. They put in this special tool, which I'm forgetting the name of, to pull out the tequila. One of the things we got to do, which was kind of fun, is we actually got to make our own bottles.
Jealous. See, now I'm jealous too.
Jealous.
I did not get to do that.
So we got to take this, and then we got to put on the labels, and we got to pour the wax seal, and we all got to take home our own individual bottles. This was something that was a unique experience. It's such a unique tequila, and being an extra añejo just puts it into another level. This one is actually aged in 2 different types of barrels, a small, a new American oak and French oak, which I think is quite unique. And they talk about, the double distillation within copper pot stills, which is traditional for a lot of tequilas, but they also talk about the slow roasting of the agaves.
Cuervo is such a big company. You would think that everything is kind of automated and enormous, but no, I saw, guys putting the agave piñas into the ovens individually. And I saw, people putting the labels on each bottle of Reserva de la Familia. And just thinking, this is not that big. It's intimate. There's attention paid to every bottle, which is pretty amazing.
No, it really is. And the fact that they put it in unique packaging, like there's like a gift box. Every single year, one artist is chosen. So they really like to invest back in their community, which I think is really cool. This is your first time having the extra añejo, Kurt. How do you feel about this?
The taste that comes to me mostly is chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
Which I wouldn't expect from a tequila.
Like a dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate, maybe coffee beans covered with dark chocolate.
Oh, that's that's a great
that kind of flavor.
That's really good. And there's also that dried fruit note. Being in Mexico, and because of the heat and the humidity, things are going to age faster. So I find that's what's really unique about this, and also the different types of barrels and the blending. You can definitely taste the complexity. This is not something you buy for every single day, right?
No, this is a special occasion tequila for sure.
This is something you keep amongst the really special friends.
I mean, you don't want to keep it a secret.
No. The extra añejo is that kind of tequila for those kind of moments, that have that intimate moments for those special friends. You want to celebrate just knowing each other and just appreciating being able to get together and catching up. So if there's a person you can go see and you could sit down and have this tequila with, who would it be?
Amusingly enough, I have some friends who are whiskey distillers, like run distilleries. And I'd bring this and say, hey, taste this. What do you think of it? So yeah, that would probably be on my, on Kurt's world tour of distilleries.
I wonder if that could be an interesting exchange. Things that are aged and being like, okay, let's exchange. Because I think this would hold,
right.
And they would be really excited to taste it with the unique aging process, with the care they take with processing the agave itself. So something that they really didn't want to release into the world, and then they were like, okay, the rest of the world should enjoy what we're
if I
enjoying
were
right
a member
now.
of the Cuervo family, I would have kept this for myself. I admire their generosity
you'd have
in
been
releasing it to the world. Yeah.
I'm also really excited to have you guys come by, to have this special tasting session with me. So I hope you'll come by again.
Yes, please.
I'm so glad you didn't hesitate on that. Until next time.
Until next time.
Thank you so much for being here. Cheers, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us.